Dylan Hanwell was filling in for Kevin today. He claimed that he was better looking. I just thought you should know that as part of his speech.
Well, I'm going to start off with admitting Dylan is a very sexy individual. And I thank him very much. And just to explain to anyone who isn't aware, I am involved with my practicum, my advanced professional term within education. And originally, I was actually going to let this stop me from running. I'm kind of getting off my topic, but I just wanted to address it. But I was worried that it sends a message, I think, to people both within the education faculty, which both of the last 2 years are filled with practica, as well people in nursing. I think it creates a huge issue if we say, you cannot run in SU elections. I think it really sends a bad message, so I'm trying to do it the best I can. The way that I've tried to combat this is actually, I met with Sadiq back in June to start talking about the portfolio. I have met with members of various student groups, student organizations, SU staff. I've tried to gather my information ahead of time, and I think that is a strong advantage that I have. I just want to go in, not enough quiet time because I use that to go into my whole platform. Please ask questions. But I want to talk about overall ideas of this campaign. I've tried to be incredibly transparent, be it producing a document for what I plan to do in my first month in office, be it stating my platform quite early, being not changing it. I think that these are things that are very important. I want everyone who does cast a vote for me to know what I stand for and how I plan on doing it. That's why I'm really excited for this forum. That's why I really wanted to be here, because I know that there'll be several great questions asked. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the dialogue, and so that you can tell me what you guys are really curious about with regards to the platform. Thanks.
All right, thanks. So we're just going to start off. What's your past governance experience, and how do you think it's going to help you in the student life position?
Okay. Well, governance, I kind of have it in two sections. There's a student council section, general students' union governance, which I do think is valuable. It's given me insight onto many of the issues that I'll have to deal with, be it the Lister Hall Students Association, Residence Hall Association as a whole, various budget issues, as I also sat on the Budget Finance Committee. But more importantly, I think, was actually my structure being involved with governance on various student groups, various services. I think that this is really important because this is where you actually engage with students and actually see where they're coming from. You know, I can talk about all of the things that I've done with bylaw committee, but that doesn't actually affect students nearly as directly. I want to be able to use my experience in positions that students are actually in. You know, student exec, apathetic student is where I started off, all these things. I think that's what's really going to give me the perspective.
All right, so you mentioned apathetic. I'll get your question after, since I started. You mentioned apathetic students, particularly a lot of senior students, ones who have established patterns surrounding their university life. How are you going to get them involved? Or if they're already involved in certain types of groups, how are you going to continue to get them to come out to new events at the SU?
Okay. Well, I'll start off with the second point because I really like that. That's actually the basis for my third platform point with continuous support and development. Because I truly believe that that's where you get the most benefit. If you can make being involved exciting, intriguing, really beneficial for people, that's how I got involved. It was, I'll be honest, I had no motivation. I was a commuter student. I came to campus, I left. But I had several friends that I met that really promoted the joys of being involved in all that they've got through and all they benefited from it. So I think that if we can strengthen these organizations, be it eliminating bureaucratic red tape that slows them down, be it increasing the awareness of the grants that are available through SGS and all the different organizations, I think that this, and really maximizing the experience of those that are involved, that's what's really important, and that can motivate people to get more involved.
Dylan at the Meyer Horowitz earlier mentioned street teams being part of your platform.
Yes.
This has been an initiative introduced in the past by the SU and FAs, and it's always been a continuous failure. Why do you think you can make it work?
Okay, and now the issue that I actually have with that question, no offense, is that when it failed previously under, it was Rory Ty when he was Vice President of Student Life, it was actually changed from the street team. They moved it away. They created something called SLEC, the Student Life Events Committee, and then eventually that became merged with programming and venues. The problem is, for programming and venues, they have so much on their plate with all the planning, organizing, and promotion of these events. They don't have time to be making classroom talks, to be talking to students. I think that that is the real issue, is that it has been just put off to the side, and people haven't really been able to fully embrace it because it hasn't been their sole job is the promotion of these events and issues on campus.
All right, how do you plan on having either larger events with more attendance or smaller events with smaller group attendance that target certain demographics? How do you plan on getting individuals out?
Okay, and obviously this is where the street team I think does come in through engaging students directly. But as I just kind of talked about, I want to talk about another issue that you talked about. Getting people more involved on the larger events is extremely important. I know something that me and my competitor actually disagreed with at Substage Forum is for the singer-songwriter series. I'm just going to use this as an example. He suggested moving it to Meyer Horowitz. This is a great program, but I think that it's more important that we put it in front of students. Right now it's in Substage. Most people there aren't that interested, and if they are, people don't just pass through Substage. What I talked about is having a large event in Quad. I look at things like basically anything in Quad, be it the small barbecues or the beer gardens. People notice it. People get engaged with these. This will make people a lot more interested and able to get involved.
All right, when you have competing faculty associations who have similar events, such as the BSA who runs their own beer gardens, or other associations in science who run similar things, how do you plan on either absorbing those events and promoting them or competing with them?
I don't think that it's a competition. I don't think it's absorbing. I think that there's so much opportunity, and I think we've all talked about how students aren't attending all these events. They're not really engaged with all these events. So I think that it's almost counterintuitive that we need to compete for the small market of people that are attending events, that are really engaged with the Students' Union and all these services. I think that it's about marketing to the people who aren't. Because people are going to be going to BSA beer gardens. I would never try to compete with this. But I think that having other events that people are going to attend can add to this.
All right. Jen?
So if an event, or something like the Harlem Shake happened again, would you let a student that wasn't in an elected position organize it, or would you be wanting to do that yourself?
And I think that it's for that specific event, I would love to be involved. I would love the Students' Union to be able to throw its weight and support behind it. We have more resources than an individual student. That being said, I would never take over something that a student had. I would be worried that that sends a message that we don't want people to try new initiatives, because I think that entrepreneurial spirit is really important on these events. So I would contact them, offer my support, but in no way force a takeover.
All right, Dustin?
Two departments in the SU programming and venues, and then the SU services are typically chronically overworked, and the budget's getting tighter, and I don't know, according to Josh Lay, with more money going to RAD staff. Let's say we're in a scenario where you have to cut one service and one event. What are they and why?
Okay. I'll start off with the event. And this hurts me because this is something that I've always really enjoyed, but is the comedy nights. And this is something that I love, and there's no way, I'm not saying that I want to cut it because I think that the solution was more support for these departments. But I've seen, raise a hand, a quick show of hands, anyone who's attended these? Okay, and that's 2 out of primarily probably engaged student body because you're attending this. This is, the issue with these events is although they're great, no one has shown the real desire. And many people who have attended, they have got free tickets, and please, please come. If the students don't want it, I'm not going to really push it. Unfortunately, it may be good for me, I don't have time to ask them the question about the services. But if you want, you can always ask it.
Is there any follow-up questions?
What service?
So in that case, do you think it's better having like a few large-scale events than like more of these more small events that target commons?
And this is actually something that I did talk about in the Gateway interview, but the issue was so much talked about they had to edit it down. And I think that it is beneficial to have large-scale events and smaller, or less large-scale events than the many small events, because people can lose track of these small events. They'll be, oh, I have 10 Facebook invites to events that are happening this week. When I think of the power of these large-scale events to really engage students, I look at Break the Record. It's a perfect example. People, it was very much a street team mentality where they came to students and really talked about this event, really got people excited. It was a month of prep and excitement building, and that just made the event such a great bonding experience. I think when you have events, 2-3 events every week, it's difficult to get that support and that momentum behind them.
Okay, I just have a follow-up to that. Is this a follow-up? Okay, so go ahead.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
So what service would you put?
I would, as someone who has worked in the services, I do know that they are extremely overworked. But I don't think that that's it. And you know what? I know it may be avoiding the question, but I don't think that there's any service that the students would benefit from losing. I think that this is just the way that I look at it. Every student service is there because it provides something to the students. If we get rid of orientation, that gets rid of the mentality. If we get rid of the campus food bank, we might limit the support for people who are needed for hunger-related issues. And so forth.
Dustin?
Not seriously, what service would you cut?
All right, so in an era where we have more and more services that are added to the list, if we're always inflating these services and we're facing, instability in budgets, how would you assess what services have to go in the event that they have to go?
Okay. Now, for services, I think that the best thing is asking students. I mean, surveys are really important. I think that, and I don't want to use this as a cop-out, because I think that if we ever are eliminating this service, this needs to be a long-term, well-looked-at program. And we need to figure out what services, either university or students' union, that can overlap with this. Because I think that creating a hole in what we provide for students, when this is the basis of why we're here as a students' union, is this huge disservice. We, as a students' union, our goal should be to serve students. So it seems very counterintuitive to me to take away these services. I think that there are many great things the students union does, but if we stop serving students, I don't know if there's a reason we're here.